Now, keep in mind that I feel no ill will towards Disney. I mean, I have tons and tons of respect for them because, for one, they're responsible for bringing some of my favorite movies over to the US with the Studio Ghibli deal. Um, they're also responsible for most of the best animated films of all time, so as a fan of animation, I can't really hate them. It's impossible for me. I'm just trying to open your eyes a little bit so you'll be a little less ignorant about what Disney's all about. And if you've read my channel description, you know that's what I'm all about. Clearing things up for people. Now, enjoy the video. What do you first think of when you hear the name Disney? Probably thinking of like a talking mouse or a huge castle in Florida or some of your favorite childhood films. I know I do. It's all good, wholesome family entertainment, right? And you'd be correct in thinking so, to a point. But little do you know that Disney's influence stretches far beyond just movies and TV and is a lot more than just Pirates of the Caribbean, Miley Cyrus, and High School Musical. Over the years, they have influenced so many things and so many people. The press, yes. Politicians, definitely. We think they can do no wrong. I mean, it's freaking Disney, right? After all, Hakuna Matata, right? But as a consequence for our great trust in Disney, that we give a lot of benefit of the doubt to Disney than we do to other big corporations or companies when things go wrong. And things definitely go wrong in the world of Disney. Many of us are blind to their immense influence and power, which at the forefront is an autonomous private government. You may know it better as Disney World. Few people realize the sheer size of the Disney conglomerate and how they are literally everywhere. As Carl Hiaasen writes in his book, Team Rodent, how Disney devours the world, he can lay it down a lot better than I can. So I'm going to be reading you a few passages from the book. I found it at my local library. I'm starting with this one, what he has to say about this. The money comes in a torrent from Walt Disney Pictures, Touchstone, Caravan, Miramax, and Hollywood Pictures, from ABC, ESPN, the Disney Channel, Arts and Entertainment, the History Channel, and Lifetime. From Siskel and Ebert, Regis and Kathy Lee, Monday Night Football, from 9 TV stations, 11 AM radio stations, and 10 FM radio stations. From home videos, stage plays, music publishing, book publishing, and 7 daily newspapers. From the theme parks in Orlando, Anaheim, Tokyo, and Paris. From computer software, toys, and merchandise. From baseball and hockey franchises. From hotels, real estate holdings, retail stores, shopping centers, housing developments, and soon even a cruise line. Now keep in mind, this book was published in 1998, so of course, some of that stuff is a little, in the past, like the Regis and Kathy Lee thing, and they don't own the Anaheim Ducks anymore. It was called the Mighty Ducks back when they owned it, like the movie. So what we have here is that Disney controls a lot more than just the family, kid-friendly stuff that you see, that you usually associate with Disney. Think about it. I mean, the same people that brought you Pirates of the Caribbean and Lilo and Stitch and stuff like that also are responsible for stuff like Pulp Fiction, which is a very adult-oriented movie. Okay, so here's the story behind Disney World. Back in the 1960s, Walt Disney began to buy approximately 24,000 acres that would make up Disney World, which would eventually become the world's most popular tourist attraction. But it was not like Walt didn't go out to the landowners, the farmers, and all those people and say, hey, I want to buy your land. He had people go out and do it for him so people wouldn't know what he was up to. Because if they knew, then the price of the land would go through the roof. And it turns out that the publisher for the Orlando Sentinel actually learned what he was doing, but Disney, he said, if you break this story before I'm done here, then I'm gonna not build my park here. And so they unquestionably agreed to his terms. So as another condition for building his park in Florida, he wanted complete autonomy. He wanted to do whatever he wanted, with the promise that Disney World would make Florida tons and tons of money down the road. Florida politicians gave him what he wanted, which was essentially a private government. Actually, it is a private government. As Hiaasen writes, a private government for constructing and managing an amusement park. Thus was born the Reedy Creek Improvement District, an innocuous-sounding title that belies unheard-of powers. Reedy Creek is comprised of all the land that Disney bought in the 1960s, which includes Disney World, and as well as two towns of Lake Buena Vista and Bay Lake. They have a combined population of around 50 or 60 people. I've heard numerous numbers. Most of them are Disney executives and their families, which also happens to comprise the supervisory board the land is governed by. So basically, you got a really small group of Disney execs on this supervisory board that runs Reedy Creek, and they all live there. Pretty nice, huh? Well, it gets even better. Now, technically, Disney is not even officially, legally affiliated with Reedy Creek, even though they obviously are affiliated with them. Because Florida law requires municipal governments to conduct their business in public, but it wouldn't be in Disney's best interest to do this. It wouldn't be good for their bottom line, so they don't. Back in the 60s, Disney received permission from Florida lawmakers to be an exception to the rule, so to speak. And even though Disney is a private corporation, it has its own government. What does it mean that they have their own government down there? What can they do? Well, let me tell you. It runs its own utilities. It does its own planning and zoning. They don't have to follow Florida building codes because they make their own. Subsequently, they hire their own building inspectors. They have their own fire department. And if they need to, they can even levy taxes. Now, to be fair, a lot of the building stuff that Disney wanted, it's purely because he thought that most of the stuff he wanted to build was not going to comply with Florida building codes at the time. But wait, there's more. As Hiaasen writes, Florida's starstruck lawmakers didn't stop there. They also gave Disney's puppet government the authority to build its own international airport and even a nuclear power plant, neither of which the company has needed, yet. Reedy Creek is further empowered to have cemeteries, schools, a police department, and a criminal justice system, services that Disney has so far chosen not to assume. So you can kind of see my point here. It's almost downright scary, the power that they have down there. And to the best of my knowledge, if they want to build a nuclear power plant right now, they can do it. Now, even though they don't have an actual police force, they do employ a security force of 800 and so members that patrols every inch of Reedy Creek, including all the theme parks. Even though, they look like police officers and they carry badges like police officers, they're not. They're more like mall cops, if you will. They don't have any power or authority outside of Reedy Creek. And there are tons and tons of stories of them just going outside their jurisdiction. Now, if a crime is committed in Reedy Creek, or, Disney World, as it's probably going to be, it's supposed to be reported to the local authorities, but this doesn't always happen. Why? Because Disney is so obsessed and caught up with their squeaky clean image that they don't want any of this getting out there. And there have been plenty of cases where incidents have happened and Disney refused to give up vital information and records, witnesses that may help the victim get some money or something, compensation. But they don't have to turn over those records because they're a private government. They don't have to. Now, obviously, because of this, numerous scandals have been, quietly swept under the rug down there in Disney World and in Disneyland that the public simply does not know a thing about. And I'm not like saying like, yeah, plenty of stuff happens in other corporations, other places. But the thing is that, you know, Disney gets away with this stuff because they're freaking Disney. Now, again, I'm not trying to say that Disney's like a huge evil corporation. I'll save that one for Walmart. But what you have to realize is Disney's a lot more than just High School Musical. I mean, their influence is everywhere. It's so powerful that they've kind of blinded America into thinking that they're all good, and they're definitely not. And people have to realize that before they put on the mouse ears. The best we can do is just be informed about what they're really about. And that's what I try to do with this video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.